You done?
Yeah.
I gotta hug Scott before we start. Anybody else need to hug Scott Waltman before we start class? Angie needed to. She told me to pause, start. Anybody? Everybody else good? Anybody else need to hug Scott Waltman before we start class? You get to pick Angie needed to. She told me to pause, start. Anybody? Everybody else good? Anybody else need to hug Scott Waltman? No, I don't know if that was picked. You went over there, sister. She told me to pause, start. Let's just drop that topic. You got it at the moment. Okay, good evening and welcome to another Wednesday night. Spring has sprung, sort of. I know some of you, like Laura, and Jay number 1, they are complaining about the cold weather. They are petitioning us to ask the Lord to bring it into the cold weather for the season. I'm not going to honor that request. You can bring that up on your own time to the Lord, Laura. I'm not going to honor that request. Seasons have a purpose and reason. Man, didn't we kind of get a nice pass Monday? Forecast was pretty awful, right? And turned it out to be a whole lot of nothing for the most part, which we're thankful for. Don't complain that the forecasters got it wrong. Be thankful. Be thankful they got it wrong, right? That we were spared, for sure. The shortest book in the New Testament is 2 John. 2 John is the shortest book by length. And that's where we happen to be tonight. 2 John. We concluded 1 John last week, and I thought, hey, while we're in the neighborhood, we'll take a look at 2nd and then 3rd John. I have probably preached one sermon from 2 John in my, you don't need to say how many years I've been preaching. I probably should be embarrassed by that. And I'm not alone. You should be embarrassed by the fact that you probably haven't read anything from 2 John in probably just as long. Never. What an embarrassment. You get a pass, Lord, because you're a new Christian. So like, why not? Why not read 2 John and hear what God has to say? Okay, you're already reading the book. So before you started reading the book, and some of my brightest students in this room have been reading 2 John a few times in preparation for this class. You know, I love those bright students. There's not many of them that I'm aware of. To be honest, I'm aware of one. And it's your husband, Gail. You're married to the bright student. Aren't you surprised by that, sister? He's been reading 2 John. He's got his Bible already open, ready to go after it. But if you hadn't been reading it in a while, I was just curious, pre-test. We do a pre-test, post-test. Pre-test. Could you have thought of anything that was written in 2 John that would just come to mind from your memory bank? Even if you read it before? You really remember that, this letter addressed to the lady and her children? Yeah, so before you read it today, would you have said to my question, yeah, Jay, the lady and her children is an interesting audience, Scott? The use of the word Scott would have said, I know the word Antichrist is in 2 John. Chris? Scott would have said, I know the word Antichrist. You would say, I know in 2 John there's something in there about loving one another and what? Love being discerning. Oh, well, discerning of the truth. Well, smarty pants over there, Vanessa. You're married to Mr. Smarty Pants. How about that? Good for you. Yeah, we're going to see that in 2 John. I would have had a hard time, if I'm being honest. Just from memory, because it's been a while since I've been in 2 John. Now, when I look at it, I was like, yeah, I remember that, and I remember that. And so what I think I've decided to do is, since it's such a short, it's a letter, right? We call all the New Testament books, but many of the books are letters, and this is a letter. Since it's so short, Like, we're just going to read the whole thing. I know usually what we do is like break it up in paragraphs, but since it's so short, like we're just if I'm looking at it again, we do is like break it up in paragraphs. I guess no, scratch what I just said. If I'm looking at it again, I can break it down into 3 paragraphs. So we'll do it that way, more easily digestible. So as you know, we have 2 jobs tonight. One is to understand what we read in the Bible so that we can, 2, live out and practice what we read in the Bible, okay? So we're just going to start with verses 1, 2, and 3 as the introduction. And after we read this, you're going to tell me what we just read. The elder to the chosen lady and her children, whom I love in the truth, and not I only, but also all who know the truth, because of the truth, which lives in us and will be with us forever. Grace, mercy, and peace from God the Father and from Jesus the Christ, the Father, Son, will be with us in truth and love. So I'm underlining just a second word truth 3 times already. And as you can already tell, some of what you're going to be reading here is familiar with what you read in 1 John, right? Okay, so now I'm going to be quiet. Look at those 3 verses. Tell me what you read or what questions you may have about those 3 verses. Tell me what you read or what questions you may have about those 3 verses. Does the lady have a name? Not in this letter. The elder doesn't have a name. He's the elder. But we believe through church tradition and history that the elder is John, the Apostle John. And it's obvious that by not identifying himself as anyone but the elder, the author was confident that his audience knew who the writer was. And so we believe the elder is John. The chosen lady does not have a name. It's written to, now you're familiar with this because you've read Paul's letters and you notice this standard first century type of greeting at the beginning of a letter, where you identify the author. Like Paul often says, I, Paul, an apostle of Jesus Christ, right? So you see who the author is and who the audience is. Miss Gail? Miss Grace? So you see who the author is and who the audience is. Miss Gail? Miss Grace? Okay, so Gail is asking, Grace is asking, yeah, the G girls in the same pew. Grace is asking, do we have a time frame for this? Okay, so when we try to answer a question like that, we look for internal clues within the letter or external clues outside of the letter that give us a time frame, right? And so because there's some similarity to what is in 1 John, in that there's this new philosophy in town. It's all about super knowledge, and because it's so similar, outside of this letter, external evidence from church fathers' tradition say it's towards the latter part of the 1st century. Could be like in the 80s, something like that. And it sounds like it's written by John before he's exiled where? To Patmos, according to Revelation, right? So, and so John the elder, he's older now. Remember, he's the one apostle that Jesus said would die a natural death, would not die. So if you do the math and he's older, we're somewhere in the 70s, probably 80s AD, okay? So the chosen lady and her children is either a woman who has kids that John is writing to, But if it's a particular individual, it's a little weird because John is saying in verse 2, I love you. And then he's going to tell her in verse 5, just to leap ahead, I'm writing you so that you'll love me. And I'm like, oh, this is a little weird. Yeah, it's agape. It's agape. Yeah. Yeah. So the common interpretation, because sometimes the church, is feminine oftentimes, and, one picture of the church is the bride of Christ. We talk about her church. Best guess, it's written to a particular church, and who are children, the members of that church that John is writing to. Okay. Yeah, Laura, boy, you got Laura's like, where are you getting this stuff from? Yes. I'm a professional, Laura. Yes. Yes. Hard work is where we get this stuff, sister. Yes. But it's, if you just want to see it as a particular lady and her kids, it's not going to take away from the truths that you're going to read in this letter. So don't panic. Okay. What else did you read in these 3 verses? Anything that you wanted to mention? What else did you read in these 3 verses? Anything that you wanted to mention? Reassurance here, like it was in 1 John. He's given us reassurance. I love you in the truth. We've had false teachers who have told you that you're not good enough, that you're not real Christians. They try to come between us, and John's reassuring them. This church, I love you in the truth. That's good pickup there. Miss Paula, Stevie. I love you in the truth. That's good pickup. Yes. Miss Paula, Stevie. Yes. The truth about Jesus, the truth about the gospel, right? Yes. What is love without truth? The truth about the gospel, right? Yes. And what is truth without love? Here's your little mind puzzle. Love without truth is liberalism. Truth without love is legalism. Both will make you miserable. Love without truth. I'm going to love you and approve of you and everything that you do, no matter what. That's love without truth, right? And truth without love is, I'm going to hammer you over the head with the truth. I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to, someone told me last year about all of her experiences, in her church past before she got to us. She said, I thought it was an interesting observation. She said, I've had some churches and some preachers that are great with the truth and awful with love, and some that are great with love and awful with truth. I've never had one that was both. And I found a church here that has both. Nice compliment about you guys, I thought. Found both. Jesus came full of what? Grace and truth, the gospel writer says. Paul wrote, speak the truth with love. Paul also wrote, look, you can have great words, but if you don't love, they're just words. You're just like beating a drum and nobody's listening to you, right? So John here is combining those 2 important things of love and truth together. We think we're loving when we say, forget the truth no matter what, I approve and love. That's not love, is it? That's liberalism, which leads to misery. But so does truth without love. That's legalism. You know any legalists? They're miserable too. It's prodigal son or older brother. Prodigal son is like, it's the liberalism. Woohoo! Do whatever you want no matter what, and everything's going to be cool. Well, he ended up miserable, and look at the older brother. No, it's like truth, right? Forget love. He broke the rules. I'm not going to that party. I'm taking my stand. I'm picketing this party. And he was just as miserable, right? Only the gospel can set you free from either one. Yeah. Anything else about this passage before I have my fun with it? You go first. Anything else? Anything else about this passage? Feel like we hammered it out? Have my fun. Okay. You go first. All right, my turn, then we'll move on. Feel like we hammered it out? What we see here is, number one, John expressing affection for those he leads. What we see here is, number one, and he tells them what they mean to him. Jesus was the same kind of leader. Told his followers, his apostles, what they meant to him. In fact, on one occasion, he's surrounded by a crowd, and his mom and siblings have come to see him, right? And he can't get through the door in the crowd. And Jesus says, you know, you're my father and mother, you know, and my spiritual family, my kingdom family is my primary family. So Jesus was like John here, one who expressed his affection. So did the Apostle Paul. I mean, talking about that runaway slave Philemon in the little letter we call Philemon, he says to Onesimus that Philemon, he has my heart. He has my heart. Paul says something similar about the Christians in Philippians, right? You know, whom I love. So there's probably something we could learn from there, the importance of expressing affection. So there's probably something we could to people, learn from there, telling people, you know, how much they mean to us. And also, and this is where I've been really weak in my walk with Christ. Like, I'm so narrow focused on, like, my ministry and calling here, that I've spent very little time thinking about my spiritual family all over the world, right? And, you know, what Elie Wiesel said, suffering somewhere is concern everywhere. And it's really convicted me. Like right now, I'm just spending more time thinking about the underground Christians in Iran and Pakistan. Thinking about the underground Christians in North Korea. That's your family we're talking about here. The Christians in Ukraine. And since they're our family and there's great suffering there, that should be concern here for our family there, which at the very least, but maybe most important, should merit your personal prayers. Should make it in the list from time to time to think about. Yep, so there, the importance of expressing affection. And then as John does that, it reminds me of something I've tried to hammer in our church's DNA. Let's see if you can answer the question correctly. What's correct for me? You may disagree, and it's okay. The number one job of a Christian is? The number one job of a Christian is? Just love each other? Thank you, Linda. No. No. Well, I'm disagreeing with Jesus here. He did say the two greatest commands. But based on Paul's prayer life in his writings, our number one job is to know how much we're loved. Your first job is not to love. You know, God loves first. And so if we don't know how much we're loved by him, we will not have the power to love others. And so Paul says, I pray, can you imagine? But this is what he says to the church in Ephesus. They're Christians, right? But they're struggling. He says, I pray that you may have the power together with all the saints to know how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ, and to know this love that surpasses knowledge. So he's talking about knowing love, not just from an objective perspective, Yes, I know John 3:16, God so loved the world. I know in my head, God loves me. Now that's important, because when there are tough times in your life and you're wondering what in the world's going on here, you need to know that objective truth. God still loves you. That hasn't changed. The absence of God's love is not the explanation for why something's wrong in your life. You know that objective truth, and nothing can separate you from the love of Christ, Romans 8, because you know that. He died for you. God did not spare his son. So you need to know that objective side of love, but also that subjective side, that experiential side. Now, what does that mean? How do I subjectively experience and know God's love? Well, let's think about some ways. Like one, when we fail in sin, we have the courage to confess our sins, because we have that foundation of God's love in our lives. We know he's not going to you're out, so that we're tempted to hide from him in the garden or cover ourselves with fig leaves. No, we know this love, and so that gives us the courage to be able to admit when we've wronged somebody, the courage to say, hey, I'm sorry I did that. And so that's one way in which you subjectively know the love of Christ. Another way is, telling the truth about yourself during tax time when you're filing taxes, right? And you're like, oh, that's going to cost me some money. I'm going to have less. Well, who are you providing for your daily needs? God, or you're maneuvering, right? And so I know the love of Christ. He'll be my provider. So I'm going to tell the truth about myself. That's the way you subjectively are experiencing the love of Christ. Somebody is rude and mean to you. And to know the love of Christ, hey, just because that guy was a jerk, right? Since I've got this foundation of love, I'm learning how to say, man, I need to pray for that guy, not I need to punch that guy, right? That's a way in which okay. So that's very important. And so John's talking about the truth, which what, verse 2? Lives in us. So truth is not just a statement. It is an experience of living in this truth. Like, if I don't bow the knee before this 90-foot idol in Babylon, I'm going to get thrown in the fiery furnace. But I live by the truth, which is, I don't worship idols. Asking me to worship a statue is like asking me to stop breathing. I can't do that. And so you are willing to be persecuted because of what? Righteousness' sake. And so that's how you are walking in the truth. So I'm going to throw out a statement to you, and I want you to see if you can tell me what this philosopher means by it. Listen closely, it's very brief. He says, truth is not something we discover. Truth is something we construct. I'll say it again. Truth is not something we discover. Truth is something we construct. You know what that means? Because this is the water that you swim in our secular country today. So what does it mean, first of all? Truth is not something we discover. What do you mean? I got on a boat from around the world, and I landed here in North, and I discovered truth. There's a land here. Truth is something we discover. No, it's not. What do you mean? I studied nature, and the world is wired this way. Discovered the truth about trees. No. Truth is not. There was a crime committed, and I was on the job as the head detective. And I looked for evidence, because evidence is truth. I heard this on a Dateline episode last night about 2 a.m. 2 a.m., Dateline, truth. Evidence is truth, the detective said. And so I was discovering the truth about who did this crime. Nah, you got it wrong, detective. Truth is not something we discover. You should understand that by now. What does it mean? Truth is something we construct. Truth is not something we discover. Come on, you know what that means, Tom. What does it mean? Truth is something we construct. No. That's good for, but that's not what this means. Truth is something we construct. Stevie Z? No. That's good for, but that's not. If we manipulate the facts enough, it can become the truth. You are getting warmer. What our secular culture says is there is no such thing as absolute truth, something that is true all of the time. In fact, nothing is true all of the time. We construct our truth. So you make up your truth, and you make up your truth, and you make up your truth, and guess what? It's true to you. You make up truth. You hear me? You make it up. And I don't know about you. I see a lot of this in our culture. We're just making up the truth in order to fit our bias. And so everyone can be looking at the same certain event and have all different kinds of spins on it that it means this. They're constructing truth, right? And so that's the world we're living in. And so when John says, I love you in the truth, you know the truth, and because of the truth, will be with us in truth. He's talking about an objective truth that's true all of the time, in any culture, in any and every part of human history. It is true all of the time. And Jesus is one of those. He's the way, he's the truth. The gospel is true all of the time, anywhere and everywhere. Thou shalt not murder is true anytime, anywhere. Thou shalt not steal or lie. It's true. Well, not really true. No, it's true all of the time. The word of the Lord endures forever. Okay, so the last thing here is just this grace, mercy, and peace from God in verse 3. It's not just like a friendly wish for the Christian community. What he's saying is you have grace, you have mercy, you have peace from God in your life because you follow Jesus Christ. I want to ask you, do you have those three things in your life tonight? They are yours for the taking if you will receive them. Grace, mercy, and peace. Okay. Okay, that's verses 1 through 3. I had fun. How about you? We could do more with it, but we're going to move on now to the heart of the letter. We're going to read verses 4 through 11. It has given me great joy to find some of your children walking in the truth, just as the Father commanded us. And now, dear lady, I'm not writing you a new command, but one we have had from the beginning. I ask that we love one another. And this is love, that we walk in obedience to his commands. As you have heard from the beginning, his command is that you walk in love. Many deceivers who do not acknowledge Jesus the Christ as coming in the flesh have gone out into the world. Any such person is the deceiver and the Antichrist. Watch out that you do not lose what you have worked for, but that you may be rewarded fully. Anyone who runs ahead and does not continue in the teaching of the Christ does not have God. Whoever continues in the teaching has both the Father and the Son. If anyone comes to you and does not bring this teaching, do not take him into your house or welcome him. Anyone who welcomes him shares in his wicked work. All right. There you have it. Now, you know how my brain is wired. And I can't say this because then this will bias you. So I'm not forget I was going to say anything. You say whatever you want about this passage. Okay, what I was going to say was, I like to work in chronological order. So I wish you would not start with like verse 10 or 11. But no, forget that, because we've been doing that out of chronology. So just relax. This is good for me. I need to get out of my comfort zone. And so make any observation you want. Start where you like, Stevie. And so, did you notice that? Good pickup. It gives me great joy to find some of your children walking in the truth. Did you notice that? Good pickup. It gives me great some of them aren't. We go back to 1 John chapter 2. Some have left us who are not really with us and aren't walking in the truth. We lost, there's some casualties along the way, and it seems to imply that. So that's the bad news. They're not walking in the truth, and the context would say they no longer believe Jesus came in the flesh, right? And so they're not walking in the truth. But let's not miss the positive, Stevie. It gives me great joy to find some. Like it's the joy of a father over his children. It's how John, as an older Christian, sees this church like spiritual children, and like it delights him to see, hey man, they're walking in the truth. It's one of the things I love to hear about when reported to me about you guys and others that I'm entrusted with care for, in terms of how I hear news reports like secondhand or thirdhand. Gives me great joy. Yeah, people are walking in the truth. Yeah, putting in good words for Jesus. I'm on Tuesday nights leading a discipleship group of 9 guys that I'm training in discipleship. And the blessing of a small group is just reminding me how you hear these good news reports of how they're walking in the truth, right? It's like, you're like, wow, that like I told somebody this afternoon, because my sermon Sunday was on revival in Ezra. It's like, you want something that revives me? Because when I hear the good news about God's children here walking in the truth, like, gives me great joy. Like, oh, that's fun to hear. That's exciting to hear. So thank you, Stevie, for bringing that up. Christopher, what do you got? So thank you, Stevie, for bringing that up. Christopher, what do you got? Mm-hmm. Serve, protect, and pass on. That's a larger picture here of what John has done and what he's wanting to see done in the church, right? Preserve and protect, and that's like a 3-point sermon apiece. Preserve, protect, and can I borrow that? Preserve, protect, and pass on. Yes, I like that. Keep going, guys. What else do you see in this passage you want to talk about? Preserve, protect, and can I borrow that? Preserve, protect, yeah, Steve. Pass on. Yes, I like that. Keep going, guys. What else do you see in this passage? Live and not live. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Yes, Steve. In order to maintain the largest body of Christians, let's water down. Let's tolerate everybody's personal ideas. Mm-hmm. Let's water down. And say, hey, if you've got a neighbor who is suddenly an antichrist, that's going to be tough. Yes. I'm trying to find the verse there. Oh, Steve, verse 9. Yes. Like where in this world of ours where truth is not objective, right? Whatever you want to be. What he says in verse 9 rings like differently, because John says, anyone who runs ahead and does not continue in the teaching of Christ about Jesus having come in the flesh, he says, does not have God. We are tempted to believe that there are 1,000 paths to God. Make up one of your own, and you are good with God, right? We hear nonsense like all religions are basically the same, so you can't say one's right and one's wrong. They're all about, and that's just not true. Study them. They're not all basically the same. Muhammad is leading with the sword in the Middle East to establish, the Buddha is saying, check out and detach from the world. There's nothing good in it. And Jesus is saying, I'm leading with a cross, not a sword, Muhammad. Jesus is saying to Buddha, the world is good. I made it. Don't detach and remove yourself from it. They are no close to being the same. And so John, I hear him say, hey, this person does not have God. The baseline is, who do you say Jesus is? What's your answer? And if you don't believe that Jesus is the Christ who came in the flesh, that means you don't believe that he died on a cross because he didn't have a body. You don't believe he rose from the dead because you're saying he didn't have a body. So you do not believe in the Jesus, the Christ, because that means you don't believe he's a physical descendant of Abraham, the promised one that God told Abram that he would take from his lineage to save the world. And you don't believe he's from the line of David. So there's a lot of implications for not believing Jesus came in the flesh. John says clearly, you don't have God. Good one, Stevie. Anybody else? We got some more good stuff in here to look at. Being discriminating, meaning believe like something's good and something's bad. Something's true and something's wrong. How dare you? Some people are offended by the gospel because they say, how dare you say that I'm a sinner? You know, that I am, how dare you? Because I've been listening to the culture that's saying, you are fine just the way you are. Love yourself. You can do no wrong to yourself. You know, self-esteem is your major problem. And so we're going to keeping score when you're playing ball as a kid because we don't want you to feel bad about yourself if your Little League baseball team loses 9-0. No. That will wreck you for life. Right? If we don't tell you you're the smartest kid in class, even though you are a D student and could care, but that would wreck you. If we said, you need to study a little more, and you've got some growing to do. No. So we've been been fed that in our culture for decades now, going back to about the 50s or 60s, this self-esteem movement. And to hear the gospel that says, hey, bad news first. You are a sinner, dead in sin, who has defied the Creator, and you are a dead person walking. How dare you say that about me? My parents said I could never do any wrong. Okay, and so there you have it. College students who couldn't read at RPI, what's that? Okay, Polytech. Engineering school. Just passed them through, right? Yeah. Just passed them through, right? We can't fail them for not being able to read. That would do too much psychological damage. See the thing about truth and love here, if you take one without the other, that's not love. Passing them along to college while being unable to read. That's not love. Yeah, 70s. Yeah. Yeah. So again, there we have it. I'm having fun with this, guys. You're doing good work here. What else you got in this passage? There's more. Go ahead, William. What else you got in this passage? There's more. Go ahead, William. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, so based on, hey, there are deceivers out there. There are two natural flows from that in this letter. The first one is watch out. There are people out there lying and making up stuff and calling it truth. So you got to be on your guard. You got to watch out. Just don't swallow everything everyone is selling, right? And so watch out. Because what? Man, if you start believing the lie, you were going to start missing out on the great blessings found in walking with Jesus. You're going to lose your rewards, right? The things that you worked for in terms of following him, the time you put in, to learning from him and obeying him, so watch out. I think in some respects, as a culture, we're all doing this because we don't believe hardly anything we hear anymore. Right? Like what do we're all doing this? Like, you know, and I love it when people say, but I use an independent, unbiased source, you know, for my information. Oh, wow. Okay. So how come your independent, unbiased source always agrees with everything that you believed? If it was an independent, biased source, at some point in time, at least, there would be something there. So is it really independent? Is it really biased? Or is our virtue signal? Like I'm more virtuous because, you know, I just don't listen to that or that in an independent source. I don't know about that. Amy, what do you got? Yes. Bum, 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 bum. Amy's like, this sounds very unchristian. Because John is telling these Christians, like in terms of these lying people, it's like, he's telling them, don't you invite them in for a cup of coffee? Don't you like welcome them? Say, hey, welcome to town, liars. You know, glad to have you. Don't welcome them. Because if you do, you're like partners with them. And so when Jesus says you got to be salt of the earth and light of the world, you got to love your enemy, right? You know, Romans 12, you know, feed your enemy, give your enemy something to drink. And here John is saying, hey, it sounds like, I don't need y'all even say, hey, on the street, how you doing? It's not what it is, but it's what it sounds like. Philip, you going to answer this conundrum? I don't need y'all even say, hey, on the street, how you doing? It's not what it is, but it's what it sounds like. Philip, you going to answer this conundrum? You're so nice. That's the end goal. The end goal is not to believe their lie, to be influenced to the point that you believe the lie. That's the end goal. So he's putting in this wisdom, he's putting some buffers in between you, Philip, and the liars so that you don't believe the lie. And the buffer, he says, don't take him into your house, number one, and don't welcome him. Don't take him into your house. And you know what that means, right? That's what you want to know, isn't it, Amy? What does that mean? Tommy, do you know what that means? No. What does that mean? Tommy, do you know what that means? Okay, Tommy's saying, is this one of the situations where you should pray for the spirit of discernment? No and yes. Okay. Tommy's saying, is this one of the situations? But it won't be as good without the no too. So the no is, I don't need to pray. Hey, what about this guy? Because I've already been given discernment from Scripture. He's a liar. I already know Jesus came in the flesh, right? So I don't need to pray. You know, do I need to believe you came in the flesh? Or do I need to believe this new? No, you don't need discernment. There's some things you don't need to pray for, right? Because you have the will of God, the Word of God, that tells you what to do. But in terms of, yes, like, yeah, we need the spirit of discernment right now because we're trying to figure out what it means to not bring him in your house or welcome him. Because Amy's thinking, I got to toughen up a little bit, and I got to quit being polite to people who don't believe Jesus is the Christ. No. You know, teachers, as they traveled with their teaching, since there weren't any Motel 6s and Red Roof Inns, dependent upon hospitality, you know, and the kindness of people to provide lodging so they can promote their teaching. And John is saying, you don't do that with these false teachers. You don't provide them your home. That's the welcoming part. Not, hey, how are you? Hey, I hope you're having a good day. That's perfectly fine. Of course it is. You know, Jesus even said, if you only love those who love you, big deal. Even the pagans do that. If you only say hello to the people that say hello to you, big deal. Even the pagans do that. You're nice to the people that are nice to you, who don't believe like you. So Amy, you keep on being your sweet self to all of the antichrists that you encounter. You say hello, how's your day? You know, that sort of thing. But in terms of the context here, these false teachers, you don't provide for them lodging, food, other things that make it possible for them to promote their teaching. That's what he's saying by, if you do, you share in his wicked work. Because if you do, that's not real love. Because you're helping to promote the Antichrist in your community. And so sometimes love in truth is, no, you're not staying here. You guys got to go home wherever you came from. Sort of destroying this church community with this false teaching. That's how I think we make sense of that buffer, Phil, between the two. I know it sounds unchristian, right, to some of you. Say, nope, no, I'm not gonna provide for you and help you. But it really is love, in truth and love. Sometimes you have to let people hit rock bottom. Sometimes you have to let people hurt. And these false teachers, if they're allowed to hurt, if there's no, cushion for them to land on, maybe it causes them with the discerning spirit to maybe reevaluate what they're about. Hopefully you reevaluate their teaching. But does it feel unchristian to me when I tell people sometimes, who come off the street and ask for help? Nope. Yeah. There's a part of it that still feels weird, but for me, in those situations, using discernment and otherwise, I know it's the wise thing and the right thing to do. It just doesn't give you the warm fuzzy that it does to some people when they come in off the street and they share, and I just pull out $100 from somebody that's given it to me to give it to someone like this when they come off the street. And I was like, yeah, here it is. That feels good. And they like you a whole lot better, right? But sometimes we have to say no, Grace. That feels good. And they like you a whole lot better, right? But sometimes we have to say no, Grace. Sometimes we go along to get along. Let's see which way. Wind's blowing. Okay, yeah, that's right. Sometimes we go along. What was I hearing? This line. Wind's blowing. Okay, yeah. It wasn't about politicians in our country. It was maybe back in Russia in the 50s. Somebody said it in another culture, another time, but it's true. It's like my job as a political leader is to figure out what the people want and then give it to them. Right? That sounds kind of good, doesn't it? But you know what? Sometimes the job of a leader is say, what you want is not good for you, and I am leading in a different way. And yet, a lot of cultures let's test the winds, see where we can go along and fit in. That's a good observation, Grace. Okay? Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, you've heard this from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. Love one another like you love your neighbor like you love yourself. Yes. Mm-hmm. He laid the groundwork. We're supposed to have this type of love for them. Yes. So that's a great observation, Captain Dave, because what he's trying to do for us is point us to how contextually, before John says don't welcome them, he's like, okay, we got the foundation of love. So you're passing the love test. And so if you do that and then you do this, don't welcome them, that is passing the love test in this situation. It may not feel like love to say, no, I'm not helping you, but it actually is love. Does that make sense? Good one, Steve. What do you got? To say, no, I'm not helping you, but it actually is love. Does that make sense? He said, Mm-hmm.
Shake the dust off your feet and move on.
Yeah.
He didn't say, stick around and do what you can.
Right.
So there's a limit to hospitality.
Yeah, in that particular context, he's saying, look, if you're in a town or village and they don't welcome you, meaning they don't give you lodging and support, because you know the apostles, they're traveling with nothing, right? Jesus said, just leave it all and trust. And so the sign that you're not where you need to be is if you show up in a village and they're like, get out of here. You know, we got no place for you. Jesus says, wipe the dust. You don't like keep pounding them, pounding them, pounding them. So there's probably somebody in your life you are dying to see come to know the Lord, right? And nothing is happening. So you don't give up on that person. You keep praying for her. But you do at some point say, maybe my time is best suited investing in someone else where maybe the ground is fertile, right? And so you do some of both. You don't bang people over the head with your Bible. You may want to, right? Because you so want them to get God in their lives. But you got to wait. You got to wait. So going back, because we didn't really spend any time in verse 5 and 6. So going specifically 6. This is love, that we walk in obedience to his commands. This is love. What? Sound like what in 1 John sounds like what we heard in the Gospel of John. Apparently John has a sermon that he uses over and over again, right? Well, it's good. I know there was something. Okay, here's the question. You can I want you to try to answer it for me. How is walking in obedience to God's commands love? An act of love, Tommy. Walking in obedience to God's commands, love. An act of love, Tommy.
Opposite from that, God gives you a command for your betterment, for your goodwill. There's no options, there's no choices. Command is a command.
What is best for you and I in a relationship? What's best for you? That I obey God? Is that going to bless you more than me not obeying God? Which one? Which one is love? For you that I obey God? Is that going to bless you more
Like
than
it's
me obeying God is love towards you, right? And vice versa. So it's the best thing for the world. Like, see if you believe this. It's not original to me, so don't get mad at me. I'm just repeating something this author said. We would be living in a utopia if every person on the planet obeyed God all the time. We would be living in a utopia. That'd be pre-fall in the garden, where no one knew or had experience of good and evil. Just think what would happen in this world. Not if we obeyed God all the time. Let's just say we lived in a world where everyone obeyed the command, thou shalt not murder all the time. Let's just say, boy, your leading local news stories would shrink, right? Just imagine that. No one committed, wouldn't that be love? And let's imagine no one lied or stole. Let's just pick 3 commands. We're not asking a lot here, world. Let's just pick 3 that all of us obey all of the time. Like no one ever stole. I think my insurance rates would go down in some respects. No one ever lied. I think we'd have fewer news sources available. We wouldn't need them all to give the various spins. Just imagine. And so obeying God's commands, it's love to God, because we don't want to hurt God, right? I mean, Jesus, in the flesh, he said in the Gospel of John, I did not come to please myself, but him who sent me. That was a memory verse here, way back 2006 or 7. I love that verse. We ought to be saying that wherever we go. I did not come to please myself, but him who sent me. We should all be about what is pleasing to God. That's what a loving relationship is, right? What is pleasing, right? Not as, what is something I could do to really tick off this person I'm in a relationship? No, but it's, what is this person like? And so obeying God's commands, it's love to God, and it's love for everybody in the world. That's all I wanted to say. Anything else about this section? We're about out of time. We're good? Okay, let's finish the letter. That's all I wanted to say. It's sort of anticlimactic, verse 12 and 13. I have much to write to you, but I don't want to use paper and ink. Instead, I hope to visit you and talk with you, face to face, so that our joy may be complete. The children of your chosen sister, talking about another church maybe, send their greetings. So I just had the idea from verse 12. You know what sermon I could preach from that? In person is better. In person is better than technology is great. You know, texting is a great gift. You know, talking on the phone is wonderful, right? But in person is superior to all forms of communication. And we're living in a time where people are losing the ability to have face-to-face conversations. Our younger men are, especially in this culture, struggling in this regard. Our younger girls, younger women, it's been well documented, struggling with mental health issues. The data is in, it correlates to the rise of the smartphone and social media around 2012. So our younger boys and now young men, they say they've been affected in a different way. They don't have the higher rates of mental health like girls did, so dramatic. Theirs is in terms of poor relational health, relational skills, and also decreased ambition and goal in life, kind of checked out. And, you know, they don't have the skills, this is just generally speaking, to be able to converse, have conversations. They're not alone though, because there are plenty of us older now that are living more in isolation and living through technology, that we're also losing the ability to have personal relationship and conversation. Now, John is simply saying in verse 12, you know, I want to do this in person. I could write a lot more, but I think we're going to see each other. It's kind of like you. I don't know about you guys, but like I always hear this with Diana. She talks to her parents every Sunday afternoon for about an hour and a half on the phone. And but if we're going to be there in Tennessee in a week or two, I'll hear the Nana and maybe Dinah say, hey, we'll just wait till we're there. We're going to like hold back some, so we got some material, you know, to share. And besides, it'll be different if we get to do it face to face, you know. I think that's all. Anybody else, verse 12, 13, we're out of time, really. So, no, I'm not going to let you talk. We're done. Next week, guess what we're studying? So smart people. Let's close in prayer. Next week, guess what we're studying? Lord God, as this day comes to an end, we thank you for your provision for us in it. Lord God, as this day comes to for our degree of health, we thank you for your provision for our food and clothing and shelter, modes of transportation, our jobs, and 1,000 other things that we give thanks to you for. And for our spiritual provision and protection that you granted us, we give you thanks. For the truth that guides us, for the love that inspires us, and for the hope that allows us to persevere. Through Jesus, we give you thanks. God, may the words we have read this night touch our spirits
God, may the
and
words
change
of
our
your word
lives
this night
in whatever way you please. Because we have come not to please ourselves, but you. This is our prayer in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thanks, everybody, for being here.